Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the City of Phoenix budget presentation. This is your budget. This is your opportunity to weigh in on what you'd like to see done in the budget. I'm going to introduce Mario Paniagua in just a second. Mario will then introduce some of the staffers that we have here in the room, and then we will go through a short video, and then we'll take cards. Have you all had an opportunity to fill out the cards? Who's got the cards in the room? If you could put up your hand. Right in the front, right over there. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Mario Paniagua. I've got Jamie Kleshok from my office here as well. We've got multiple staff members here. And thank you for coming out today. This is your budget. This is your city. You're in charge. And this is your opportunity to tell us what you think about the budget and what you'd like to see readjusted or adjusted, or if you like it the way it is or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilman DeCiccio. So this is actually the very first budget hearing of the season. So we get that honor to do that at Pecos Community Center. Thanks to Councilman DeCiccio. And I want to thank the councilman for helping us get this set up. But we've actually got a total of 19 budget hearings this year. So just so everyone knows, there are several staff here from several departments. They're here to answer questions if you have any about specific items in the budget, or if you have any questions about specific departments. Our Budget and Research Director, Jeff Barton, is in the back of the room there. Thank you, Jeff, and your team for all the work that goes into putting the budget together. So what we have is the trial budget. We call it the trial budget, which is the first draft of the annual budget. And so once that first draft is presented, you'll see that today. We have a quick video to show. And then we want to get to your comments. That's really why we're here, so that we can hear from the community. And so we'll get those comments. Those comments will be documented and presented to all of the mayor and city council for their consideration as they take a look at the budget for this year. Then there will be upcoming actions in the month of May for the council to take a closer look at, make any changes to the budget, and then take the actions to get the budget implemented for next year. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and watch the video, and then we'll take any comments. Again, if you have any comments, make sure you fill out a card. They're in the back of the room, and get that card submitted, and then the councilman will call on you for those comments. Thank you.
Welcome to your first look at the City of Phoenix trial budget for 2019-20, proposed by the city manager for public review and comment. The city budget is about people and programs for a stronger Phoenix. Every year, the city prepares a trial budget. This process gives you, our residents, an opportunity to share your priorities and feedback on how tax dollars are spent. 3 important points about this year's budget. It is balanced, which is required by law, and there is a surplus to allocate toward people and programs. Also, for the first time since the recession, ongoing revenues are equal to ongoing costs. We have a nearly $1.4 billion structurally balanced general fund budget thanks to Phoenix's continued strong economy and sound leadership by the mayor and city council. These efforts have led to a projected surplus of $55 million, of which $35 million is in ongoing resources and $20 million is in one-time resources. Over the next several minutes, we'll provide you a high-level view of the recommendations for how that surplus could be spent. Approximately 70% of the surplus is proposed for employee compensation, and the remaining 30% is proposed for services. And $5.5 million to continue investing in the Public Safety Pension Reserve Trust Fund to protect against unexpected downturns in investments. The 2019-20 trial budget continues to provide the core services residents expect. Chief among these is public safety. In addition, many recommendations are focused on improving neighborhoods, parks, libraries, support for outreach and services for people experiencing homelessness, additional street landscape maintenance, and preparations for the 2020 census. The city also continues to invest in maintaining the facilities you depend on and the fleet of vehicles that provide you everything from police response to street cleanups. Besides these proposals, we'll highlight expenditures that help the city address growth in construction and maintain the city's wastewater infrastructure. First, general fund recommendations. The general fund is made up of several different sources of revenue, including sales taxes, state shared revenue, and property taxes. 3/4 of the general fund pays for police, fire, and courts, with a smaller portion, the remaining 25%, going for everything else, like libraries, parks, senior services, arts, and administrative and support functions. The primary focus of the general fund service additions is public safety across a wide array of departments. Here are some of the proposals. 8 new firefighter positions to provide 24-hour operations at Fire Station 55 at I-17 and Jomax Road in North Phoenix. The creation of 1 new fire department crisis intervention unit, and in the police department, de-escalation training and community response services support for officer-involved shootings. These recommendations are based on public feedback from last year's budget process and the city's Traumatic Incident Intervention Resources Ad Hoc Committee. Another key area of public safety funding is focused on improving police support processes, using civilian staff to free up police officers' valuable time for calls and service. First, the addition of 10 civilian positions to support a federally mandated transition to the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting National Incident-Based Reporting System. And second, the addition of 13 positions to streamline police booking procedures and create 2 new centralized booking centers to get officers back on the street faster. The trial budget also provides funding for increased inspection capacity to ensure buildings are meeting fire safety codes. Other public safety allocations: public defender representation for veterans and individuals with mental illness. In human services, add a caseworker and a vehicle to provide mobile victim advocacy. Security guard staffing at every library. Technology funding for cybersecurity to protect the city's infrastructure. In all, the trial budget proposes spending an additional $6.5 million on these and other public safety additions. Now, let's look at where you live, investments in programs to strengthen neighborhoods. First, the budget would allocate approximately $1 million to add staff to work with neighborhood groups, to clean up blight, work with nearby businesses, and improve response times for neighborhood issues. Parks and Recreation would see 8 new park ranger positions to increase patrol coverage at neighborhood and urban parks for a cost of about $1.1 million. Street Transportation and Public Works would support neighborhoods by transitioning staff from a temporary to permanent status to clean up encampments and washes and right-of-way for a cost of $970,000. Historic Preservation would also get $75,000 to support historic property preservation. In all, neighborhood revitalization would see an additional $3.5 million in funding. Next, Community Services additions restore some desired programs to strengthen the community and expand other resident requests, including restoration of Sunday library hours at 4 branches means all libraries will be open to provide greater access to in-demand books, movies, classes, and programs for library patrons of all ages. Expand the Phoenix Teens program for youth at 10 city sites, providing youth programs 6 days per week at a cost of $448,000. Providing case management assistance for homeless seniors and grant funding for arts organizations for youth and underserved communities would also be included. The budget would also add $1.3 million for long-standing street landscape maintenance needs, increasing frequency of maintenance from 3 to 4 times per year. New this year, a proposal to allocate funding to implement participatory budgeting or other projects in City Council districts. Lastly, the city will invest in outreach to encourage residents to take part in the 2020 census. Given the move to digital form submission this census, the additional funds will help to ensure hard-to-count and hard-to-reach populations participate, so that Phoenix gets its fair share of the approximately $866 million in annual revenues allocated through federal programs for public safety, transportation, housing, and human services. Overall, added general fund expenditures outlined in the trial budget total $55.2 million and would add 131 positions to strengthen our people, programs, services, and infrastructure. Moving on to propose non-general fund additions for a variety of services. Strengthening our street transportation department with 11 positions added or converted to full-time for a variety of services to support increasing work in the right-of-way and the recently expanded street maintenance funding in the Capital Improvement Program budget, $768,000. Water Services will see 21 positions and approximately $2.9 million in funding to keep up with demand at the department's 91st Avenue treatment site, the state's largest. The site is currently treating 180 million gallons of water a day for more than 2.5 million residents in 5 cities. Finally, 19 positions for planning and development to address increasing construction demand, including reduction of turnaround times for pre-application submittals and complex commercial architectural plans. Added staff to ensure adherence to fire system requirements and ADA accessibility codes, and to maintain a 24-hour turnaround time for residential inspections. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about the 2019-20 trial budget. We hope that you'll review additional details in the budget pamphlet available at one of our 19 community budget hearings and online at phoenix.gov/budget. Please share your feedback in whatever way works best for you, at a public meeting or via email at budget.research@phoenix.gov. You can comment on the city's social media at CityofPhoenixAZ on Facebook or Twitter and use #PhoenixBudget, or call us at 602-262-4800. Thank you for being part of this important process.
Well, thank you, everybody. And so we're going to start with the cards, the individuals that are here. We got, looks like we got the Helsel family here. Christine, you're first, if you're here. You want to speak on the budget? Christine? It's all right. Maybe I didn't say it loud enough.
It's early.
Oh, it is? Okay, it's early, yeah.
I'm a little taller.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hunch over. That's great. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Christine Helsel, and I'm a retired social worker and currently a volunteer. I volunteer as a literacy tutor and with the food bank. Today, I'm exercising my First Amendment right to petition the government regarding the budget. I believe in the investment in taxpayers' money to build up our communities. And your slide presentation was very nice, but I question whether the budget actually reflects that. I believe in making it safer and stronger by investing in the people in these communities. I believe in investing in people in programs like affordable housing, youth programs, job training, services for the homeless, victims of abuse, and people suffering from mental illness. Investing in more ways that reduce crime and building communities than in increasing our police force and encouraging a fearful and divisive relationship between our citizens and especially in poor communities and communities of color and the police. Here's an example of smart investing that I think. Take the $336,000 that we're going to spend on library security to help the librarians deal with the homeless who are in there watching porn on the computers and all that. So take the money and instead improve library services and training for the library staff to deal with people who are homeless, people who have mental illness. If we invest in community services for homelessness, for mental illness, especially in our poorer communities, then these people will not feel the need to flock to the libraries for refuge. They will have a place to go in the community. And the librarians, the library staff will know how to deal with them. Another example, take the over $1 million to be spent on park rangers and use it to invest in park cleanup, equipment replacement, expanding hours for the parks, especially those that have been closed. When we do this, we give the citizens pride in their parks, and that reduces crime and vandalism. So rather than going into this, we're concentrating on the safety thing. Build the safety from within the community. Make it theirs, make them proud of it, and they will take care of it. I also believe that one of the most cost-effective ways to reducing crime in our communities is to invest in job training, drug treatment, and mental health services, because from that comes a lot of our crime. And with a police force that is not professionally equipped to deal with these situations, especially homelessness and mental illness, we end up being the #1 city in the country for police shootings. So I think that we really need to take a look at this. And before we just keep building up more and more and more and more security, we look at what's the need for all this and put our focus back into the communities. I think then we all win on this case. Thank you.
Frank, you're next.
Good morning. My name is Frank Halsell. I'm a board member of the Satterberg Foundation, whose mission is to promote a just society. It currently provides grants to Washington, California, and now Arizona. In regards to the Phoenix City budget, I believe that the city ought to consider investing in areas which will lead to a more just society. That is, affordable housing, services for the homeless and victims of abuse, programs for youth, and mental health care. Many of these societal problems result in crimes. Please consider funding these items before funding the response to the crimes created from them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lori Munn.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I'm here today on behalf of the libraries. I'm a board member of the Friends of the Phoenix Public Libraries, and I'm a resident of District 6. I have in front of me, happy to share this. This is a heat map that shows the number of children in 3rd grade who have passed their AZ Merit English Language Arts test in 3rd grade. And the reason that this matters is because the orange, red, gold on here shows that up to half of those children in 3rd grade did not pass their AZ Merit test for English and Language Arts in 3rd grade in 2017. I think we can do something about this by opening every library every day. The budget allows for opening libraries on Sundays, the remaining 4 branches that don't have Sunday hours. But in speaking with Rita Hamilton, who's the head librarian, the optimal time for a library branch to be open every week is 68 hours. And not all of our library branches are open 68 hours a week. And so in looking at each of the 17 branches and the the deficit, if you will, in the number of operational hours open since the library hours were cut in I think it was 2008. We are not open 326 hours a week if you add that up. So if you add up the deficit hours of each branch in the city, we are not open 326 hours every week. That adds up to 16,925 hours a year. So almost 17,000 hours we are not open at 2008 levels in the 5th largest city in the country. And I think you can make a direct correlation between the gold, red, and orange districts on this map and the lack of programming. And so to sort of emphasize what the gentleman said a moment ago about upstream programs and let's stop the need for public safety before it starts, why do we care about 3rd grade? Kids who don't read on grade level in 3rd grade are 4 times more likely to drop out of high school, and people who drop out of high school are 10 times more likely to end up incarcerated than people who graduated and went on to post-secondary education and things like that. I'll provide in my email to the city citations for all of this, but I think it's an incredibly important thing to be able to make those programs, including job training programs and all of the other robust programs our libraries offer in the next budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Benjamin Clark.
Hello. I'd like to begin by thanking Councilman DeCiccio and other representatives from the city for being here today, and also to the Pecos Community Center for hosting this hearing. My name is Benjamin Clark, and I work in the Student Services Division of a large school district that serves some of the most vulnerable children in Phoenix. I often say that by making the decision to work in urban public schools, you get to witness on a daily basis the consequences of living in a society that doesn't adequately provide for the people who live in it. Many of the children we work with are homeless or in transition. They and their parents face significant barriers to accessing health care or mental health care. They're carrying the weight of trauma. The Arizona Republic reported that in 2018, Arizona led the nation in children ages 0 to 18 who experienced 2 or more significantly adverse life events. For these reasons, I'm here today to ask, both as an educator and a parent, that the city invest in the health and well-being of our communities. And when I say that, part of that is an argument to take this concept of public safety and think about it proactively rather than reactively, right? So the reactive way of thinking about public safety is increasing funding and putting more cops on the streets and thinking more about how we respond when something goes wrong, as opposed to thinking about what are some of the supports that we can put into our community so that things don't go wrong in the first place. So let me be specific. First, I'd like to ask that the city invest in affordable housing. Phoenix currently ranks near the bottom of major U.S. cities in the availability of affordable housing, and a person earning minimum wage in Maricopa County would have to work 56 hours a week to afford a one-bedroom apartment. Second, that the city invest in health, nutrition, and housing services for people in our community who are homeless or victims of abuse, particularly children and families, and focus many of these resources in public areas like libraries and parks, where very often people experiencing homelessness are likely to congregate. Third, that the city invest in additional programs for youth, including after-school enrichment, sports programs, job training, and low-cost childcare. Fourth, that the city invest in the resources to support and expand access to mental health services to reduce the weeks and months-long wait times facing people who need treatment. And fifth, that money for parks be set aside for park cleanup, new equipment, and expanded hours for parks who have been shut down. If there's question as to where funding for some of these initiatives should come from, I think that one place that conversation should begin is by scrutinizing the spending of additional taxpayer money in the Phoenix Police Department. 43% of our city's general funding goes to the police department, which is about 10 to 20% more than most other municipalities of similar or larger size than Phoenix. We know that in 2018, Phoenix led the nation in officer-involved shootings, and despite this, the Phoenix Police Department has resisted even the most basic civilian oversight and accountability measures. I wholeheartedly support public safety, but I also believe in conceptualizing public safety as neighborhood and community wellness, and that's where our resources should go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Carolyn Colonel, is that the name? Carolyn? Oh, yeah.
Good morning. My name is Carolina Coronel, and I live and represent Garfield Organization, a neighborhood alliance in the downtown Phoenix area. In 2008, the City of Phoenix commissioned a preliminary roadway and drainage analysis of 13th Street and from Moreland to Van Buren Streets to develop alternatives for the installation of curbs, gutter, and asphalt to improve drainage conditions. 11 years later, there's still no curb and gutters, and every time there is rain, we have water pools. During monsoons, residents frequently deal with flooding as well as water covers sidewalks and enters our yards and our homes. When it is dry and we seek to park along the side of the road, there are often clouds of dust. This leads to residents, or myself included, I have received this, who park next to our own homes, to be ticketed by police for having non-dust-proofed surfaces. This catch-22 situation is patently unfair and will not be tolerated in most communities. 13th Street also serves our Garfield Elementary School. This means that our kids walking through water or clouds of dust on a regular basis. Garfield has been a neighborhood initiative area since the 1990s. We have been requesting help for decades and nothing has happened. And when I say we have been requesting help, meaning requesting help from the City of Phoenix. We kindly request that funds are allocated so that the city not only pave 13th Street, but actually add curb and gutter so our neighborhoods can stop having flooding and dust. Thank you very much. And the pictures that you see that are going around, the first one is the area surrounding Garfield Elementary School after it rains. And the two in the back, it's flooding after rain, pulling under fence to neighborhoods' yards, and more flooding along 13th Street. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carolina. We gotta learn how to use this mic, is what I'm being told. And Kevin, happy?
Good morning, Councilman. Thank you for being here today. I want to start off by saying thank you. I spoke with you a year ago about the increased hours that were allocated for the public library system. And by the way, my name is Kevin Hafey. I'm a board member for the Friends of the Phoenix Public Library. And you supported that initiative, and we were able to keep 4 branches open on Sunday afternoons when they weren't previously. And I understand that the budget this year has the same allocation to increase funding for 4 more libraries to stay open on Sunday afternoons, and we appreciate that. Despite the increased funding, we still have 15 of 17 library branches that are not open every day of the week. Most of them are closed either Monday or Friday. And as my colleague mentioned, there's hundreds of hours that we're missing where programs could be put on for the community and citizens can visit their local library and enrich their lives in a number of ways. And that doesn't just involve picking up books that we most commonly associate with a library. But through the Friends, we're able to put on programs that include pre-K for children, reading time for toddlers, up through STEAM programs for teenagers and young teens, after-school reading programs, and it continues on into adulthood where we have career training programs, SAT training programs, and College Depot. And these are all things that are available for free for the citizens of Phoenix that our organization is happy and willing to pay for, but we can only do it if the libraries are open. Rather than show you the map again that shows how our 3rd graders are reading, I thought I'd share with you what the library means to my family and how I think it can enrich other citizens in the community. My children started right here at the Ironwood branch of Phoenix Public Library. When they could barely walk, they attended story time. And that grew into attending Dr. Seuss events or ocean animal events. And now the library is a fixture in our life, so much so that we visit it every week or two. And we had to get each of our kids their own library cards because they fill a bag of books so much that we maxed out the limit with the library. And my favorite time at night is sitting down with my kids and reading about space, about whale sharks, or about whatever other interest they have going on in their life. And it's no surprise that my kids are doing well in school. And I want to see all the other kids in the community have those opportunities to go visit their local library, to check out books, and to learn about anything they want to learn about, and nurture that at a young age so that we can help our community in all the ways that other members here are talking to you about. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Steve Schumacher.
Guess I could stand on my toes. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman, first of all, for putting this process together. I think it's a wonderful thing that the citizens of Phoenix get the opportunity to share their thoughts around the upcoming budget process. A little bit of history. Up till about the 1950s, the city of Phoenix did a wonderful job of honoring its pioneers and its history. And something happened around that time where all of a sudden it didn't seem to be so important to the city and various sponsors to recognize that history and support our pioneers and pay attention to our heritage. I represent a group of volunteers who are trying to resurrect that appreciation for our history, whether it be working with the City of Phoenix various school districts to try to get something into the curriculum about Phoenix history. I met with Councilwoman Felicita Mendoza a couple months ago to try to get a marker reinstalled that was destroyed about 15 years ago, celebrating Jack Swilling. Thankfully, Mayor Williams, about 6 weeks ago, proclaimed March Phoenix Pioneers Month. And so that has allowed our group of volunteers springboard to do more education, more awareness, and that's what we're trying to do. Unfortunately, we're simply a group of volunteers trying to increase awareness and education around the history of Phoenix and the pioneers of Phoenix as well. So what I saw in the budget with the only word that is pertaining to history in the budget is historic preservation. And I know those folks over there, and they're doing a wonderful job trying to put the processes together to help people reestablish their homes and renovate their homes. But there's only $75,000 for that. And if any of you know the history of Phoenix when it comes to historic preservation, there has been upwards of $43 million spent in bond funds over the last 25 to 30 years. And so to see $75,000 allocated simply to a consultant to do some surveys is a little bit disappointing. So what I would like to propose to you for this budget is to provide some sort of seed money for a public-private nonprofit organization who would be within a year required to come about its own funding, but some seed money to start a public-private organization to increase education and awareness of our pioneers, our history, and our heritage. Because our group believes that the more we're able to do that, the more our citizens and developers will do a better job of preserving our history. Thank you.
No, thank you for that. Steve, that's a really interesting idea, because some of the markers, some of the locations, some of the places that Phoenix got started at, whether it was Jack Swilling and the other pioneers that helped start up Phoenix, we don't know much about it. Right. I'm telling you, it's fascinating. I'd really like us to look into that for real. It's not just a lip service thing, just because there are places in the city of Phoenix that were very historic at the time that wouldn't even be a problem if we put up a little bit of a plaque or something there signifying what that was and what it meant to the city at the time. Never heard of this. I think it's a very creative idea. And not that anyone else's wasn't, but this is just new, and it's just not something I normally hear at these budget hearings. And I think it has a lot of merit. Thanks a lot, Steve. Candace Hewitt, I know you didn't want to speak. Are you here? Candace? Remind me, I'm not saying it right. You're fine? Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to put in a card or come up and speak on an issue? Okay, going once? No, I'm just kidding. Thank you all for coming today. We've got another budget hearing right after this, and we've got how many total in the city of Phoenix? 19 going through the city of Phoenix, and this is the first one in the city. And I do appreciate everyone coming out today. Thank you for your time.